Hey everybody, welcome to episode 103 of Tactical Crouch. It's the Main Madness Melee preview show. I have KickedTripod, joined by Yiska and Volamel. And do we have a show for you? We do have a show for you. Lots to talk about. Changes in the Overwatch League going on right now. Melee this weekend, which I'm really excited for. Yiska's got a nice little sweatshirt on here today. I like that hoodie. It looks nice.
Thank you.
It looks nice. It looks really comfy.
It's like a half hoodie. It doesn't really... You got to really get into it.
You got to really gremlin out. The scarf hoodie kind of things where it's...
Yeah, exactly.
It's not functional. It's just there.
Yeah, it's there. I have one and I really like it.
That's true. I have one of the shirts I normally wear, like one of the 5 remaining shirts that I've had for the last 10 years because I don't shop, has one of those aesthetic hoods where it's just I don't know why this is here. It's just cool. We put hoods on things.
Yeah, they look really cool and I love hoodies. I wear them all the time when I can.
Same.
So, yeah. But it's not the hood part of it. It's the sweatshirt, the jawstring, and the pouch and that kind of stuff. So, all right. Let's do the housekeeping thing. Let's get right into it because we have a ton to talk about. First and foremost, if you're here joining us live, thank you so much. We were so close. We had so many people tune in on Monday that we got to 74 out of 75 concurrent viewers. We need to get to 70. We were so close. We were 0.3 average viewers away from technically qualifying. And so thank you for helping us put it over today. We really appreciate it. Big shout outs to the live viewers. Join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Please. Other than that, nothing else. Let's jump into the news brought to you by our patron producers. Battle Crab Pin Lotion, Charlie L Audio Compass, Pork Chop Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Shara Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, and Refined Bean. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Hey, if you like the show, you want to support it too, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. We've got our patron game night next Friday, May 29th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, right here at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. We join up in Discord, grab some drinks, play some Jackbox games, and all that stuff. So definitely do stop by for that. But we do have news to talk about. And the first one, let's start on a light positive note. Overwatch League tokens are back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can start accumulating them at overwatchleague.com or the Overwatch League app. And it's been bumped up from whatever it was to 5 tokens per hour.
I'm raising my hand for the audio listeners.
What, Joseph?
Is YouTube mad about this? Is YouTube not happy with moving viewers to the OWL broadcast or the OWL website? Is that not a bad thing? Should you kind of want to keep viewers on YouTube and not?
Isn't that what's happening though? Aren't they just embedding stuff and then you watch it from the Overwatch League website? You get it as well. Isn't that how it works?
I think the Overwatch League website embeds MLG.
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how the engineering works, but it seems
I'm
weird.
baffled. I'm baffled by not just doing that. It feels okay. Here we go. I'm going in with my Dunning-Kruger cape and being totally ignorant, but I'm like, is it really that hard to have that on the Overwatch League side and then just embed the YouTube stream and everyone watches from the Overwatch League side with the YouTube stream embedded and just farming tokens from day one? Is that hard? Maybe it's hard. Maybe it's very hard.
Yeah, I would imagine so because they probably want that.
Forehead.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes everybody has Reddit takes. Okay. But to his point, though, it's if that was the case and it was just as simple, then why wouldn't you do it day one? So it's got to be like there's got to be some sort of logistic difficulty in making that happen, and then obviously putting it on the YouTube fronts.
You bring up an interesting point, and I'm guessing after paying millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the deal wasn't just for broadcasting rights, right? It was all about Activision Blizzard server infrastructure, blah 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 blah. So we get it, but there's a part of this that is a broadcasting deal, and obviously you don't want to be pulling viewers away from that broadcasting deal. At the same time, Overwatch League's been doing it to itself by not having tokens. So I think 100%. This, for me, this feels like let's just find a way to get it in as fast as we can.
Yeah. Whatever
means necessary. I'm hoping that they partnered with. So I thought it was MLG.TV that was the embed. A lot of people in chat, though no one says like definitively, but it sounds like it might be the YouTube embed.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
And so regardless, if it is the YouTube embed, I'm sure it's a much big or less big deal. If it is the MLG.TV embed, I think that there are some bigger, deeper conversations to be had there. But I'm assuming if that is the case, that's probably why it also took this long to get to where it is. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's not like a bad thing. It's definitely like, okay, good. Like I'm glad it's here. But I also wonder, because it is kind of off the beaten path, like are people really gonna like go out of their way to use it? I guess like it's free stuff, so why wouldn't you? But it's hard enough to find it on YouTube, but now we're trying to redirect them to the website, which I don't know. I'd be surprised if people like used a lot of, unless you're like a stats guy. I don't know.
I mean, I use the website to like check the schedules and the standings.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I genuinely never use the website.
I use the website for schedules.
I just use Liquipedia.
I should be using
OverGG. I think for me, for some reason, I think maybe it's because I've been burned. I don't trust. I have a trust issue with Liquipedia, I think, from a few times. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've got, but like Stats Lab, I think I went there a few times, and then I was just
yeah, that's the only reason I go on that site. Is like, I wonder if I could find this out, and then I like fiddle around with Stats Lab, and I'm like, all right, maybe I just like cut this out. It's like just not talk about it.
It's like dial-up internet every time you want to change a page on that Stats Lab. It's just like
true.
You click a button, go make a cup of coffee, and then you come back and like, oh good, it's loaded. Nope, that's not what I wanted.
They're trying, man. I'll give you credit. I'll credit where credit's due. You're trying. I hear you. It is slow.
I'm thankful
it is slow,
for it. I think it's great.
Slow.
I use it. It's slow, man.
Yeah, it is a pain.
I don't doubt that they'll have a better implementation of it in the future.
For sure.
Anyways,
could be better.
Yay, tokens are back, so we can get the things. So Dream brought it up, and it was actually the point I was about to bring up. So, dibs. It was that the big thing though is I can't, like, the main melee stuff is kind of hidden and weird, and it doesn't like it's.
You know what site doesn't have that problem? Liquipedia. Free plug. It's just another tab. You just click on it, and there it is. And I'm like, sweet, awesome. There's brackets. There's all the teams. That's what I need to know.
Yeah, it's but
one-stop shop.
I'm all for it. This doesn't hurt me
tokens
as a
are great.
Consumer of Overwatch League. In fact, it helps. It gives me a choice. I can still watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
Yes, I want to watch it on YouTube and get tokens. Sure, that's the end goal. And Spectre said that we would get that eventually. But for right now, it's something.
I'll take it. I'll take positivity for right now. It is like kind of interesting to talk about. Be like, okay, well, what does the back end look like? What is like the engineering behind this? Is it MLG? Is it YouTube? But at the end of the day, it's a good thing.
Let's assume it's YouTube, right? So all the views go to the YouTube channel, and we can judge then on the increase.
Yeah.
How many more viewers do you expect to come from this? Where are we at next weekend? Of course, keep in mind, May Melee inherently should have, I think, more viewers.
What would you say the average number is right now? Like 30,000?
30. Yeah.
35.
30, 35. So let's just say 30,000 to be. Yeah. I would say I think we see 50,000 this weekend.
Yeah, I could see 50
for NA matches.
What's really gonna blow up though, and it's still like mind bending on how this is counted. The VOD numbers for some of these games are going to be ridiculous with that kind of an increase. And I think that's going to still float people along with this argument. Like, oh, but no, people are watching the VODs. I don't really think people are watching the VODs, guys. I think it's just like a weird way that they track and they just implement like active users on the stream into like VOD watches. If that makes any sense. Like after the stream's done, it just gives you like 200,000 like VOD views, right? Like views on that specific video on YouTube. It's a weird way of like calculating that. I don't think 2 million people are watching something that only 30,000 people showed up for live. It doesn't make much sense. So that I think is going to see a big increase.
There needs to be I don't think there needs to be transparency about the algorithm in the sense of I think viewership should know blah blah blah, like whatever, if you want to keep that. But
I think the business side of things needs to know.
You should not treat it as like 2 million views on an H3 video. They're calculated differently. So, which by the way, it's been fire this week for H3 videos. We're not talking. We're not going there.
Yeah,
been fire though. Been fire. I don't know nothing either about it. I just watched the video.
Oh, I didn't.
I think we will. Okay. Am I being a positive Andy with saying this? No, I think we'll get 100K in the finals for May.
No way. No. I wish. I hope.
Let's bet it.
I hope. Hand on heart.
Let's make a bet right
Not
now.
happening though.
I think we might. I always thought token farmers are about 30K people.
I think token farmers are 30K people on Twitch.
Yes.
We're on YouTube.
That's true.
But
depending on how they advertise it.
The most optimistic. Let's first of all, let's assume that we get Shock Fusion in the finals for NA.
Sure.
I think that has to be an assumption to start. So assuming that we get Shock Fusion in the finals.
Yeah.
I think that the most optimistic play that you can say to me, and I don't just spit take, 75K.
Yeah.
I think that's the most optimistic take. But Yiska says 100K, and he can't.
I say 100K.
He can't.
Is that even a good thing though? Like how good of a thing is that? So it is a good thing. The problem is
that we don't know how much it's because of tokens and how much it's because of the format, right?
Yes.
So we don't know if it's tokens. We don't know if it's format. However, what it will tell us, hopefully, is if it creates the storylines and the fun that we want from Overwatch League for June Jubilee or whatever we're going to call it.
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time with the alliteration from here on out if they're going to continue with the naming structure.
By the way, am I the only one that would have liked to see the first pick? I mean, it's not fair. Okay. You don't really have a good seeding. So in that regard, I don't want that. But if there was a way to seed well, I would have liked to see the first seed being able to pick anyone. And if they want to pick a seed 2, that's happening. And I would have loved to see Philly pick Shock.
I wanted to see Fusion pick Shock. I get that. I don't know.
Yeah. But the problem is like 4 games.
Well, and it also only incentivizes you to be first. It almost incentivizes you to tank your matches, maybe.
I would be okay with something like that, regardless of how it actually would work out, like seed-wise, if it was double elimination. Because you're kind of, with single elimination, you're kind of robbing yourself of like an actual like good final if you just like stack the teams. Usually, because normally when you see that, it's in the group stage. You don't see that like in the tournament.
Oh, I love Dream, man.
Does Dream not know?
What happened?
He just popped off on us in chat saying that Philly Fusion are 3rd seed and we're dumb.
I mean, he's right. Philly is 3rd. Weirdly enough, it's still so strange to see Florida at 2nd.
Did I say second?
No, I said that. Like,
you said it. Oh,
I also didn't.
Yeah, you are a dumb. Then
I more wanted to illustrate a point that would have been very fun. But I think whose first seed is it? Is it like Mayhem or something? Like in that case, it's of course like
you goof. Shock's first.
Shock first.
309-1. Okay. Florida's second. Philly's third. Valiant's fourth.
Oh, wait. What is it determined by a seed?
At this point, I'm not even sure.
So your
Head-to-head, maybe? I don't know.
It's last month. Otherwise, how is May in second? They are 4-0.
No, so the last 3 weeks have been all seeding.
Yes. Yeah.
It's map differential.
And then the tiebreaker.
Conference
So
map differential.
Eric says the tiebreaker is the regular season standing.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
yeah. Anyways, cool. All right, we're gonna get there. But there is one more thing we need to talk about, and this is kind of a big one. This morning, I think to the surprise of many, the Washington Justice had announced the release of Bawlynn, Annalyn, and Bani. And I think to fully illustrate and understand the situation, I'm going to actually read the short paragraph that they put up on Twitter. So on Twitter, they sent out a tweet called Washington Justice Competitive Restructuring with a photo. And here's what it says. To better equip our competitive team for success, we are announcing the release of Annalyn, Bawlynn, Dang, and Chris, Bani, Benel from their roles effective immediately. We look forward to our first match of the May Melee on May 22nd and the remainder of the 2020 Overwatch League season. Please join us in wishing them the best on their next endeavors. And that was from Grant P., the VP of the Washington Justice. So,
Yeah.
That is a fire tweet from Corey though that somebody posted.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And it's not. He's of course right. Like he would know, but he's also right. Like, this is a ridiculous announcement.
Should we piece by piece it, or you just want to jump in like generally? Okay.
Sure.
So again, I'm not throwing too hard of a stone here because I do live in a glass house, but just like with the wording that you use, you're equipping for success by removing. How like PR spinny, like overly important. I feel like you could just cut out that first sentence and just like be okay. Like effective immediately removing the general manager and the coach. Done.
is this intern the same intern like Bobby Kodik's nephew or something like that? And why we keep seeing this bullshit?
I don't even like that. Doesn't even on a language level, that first part doesn't make sense to me. What does it mean? To better equip our competitive team? Are you
Do you
not
have a
talking
casual
about
team?
the Washington? Yeah. What is
there a casual team I don't know about?
The doubt is like maybe like they're talking about their streamers.
Do they have streamers?
Talking about
yeah, I guess Stratus is there.
well, here's
That's
the
true.
thing, right? So the Justice, there's some layers of success that the Washington Justice have had. A lot of that has been off the field, if you will. The content, the personalities, the socials, that kind of stuff, which I do think
Maybe
Annalyn
this year
excels at.
Sure.
She did it with Gladiators. It immediately permeated there. So
definitely was an improvement.
I don't know if that's, part of me just thinks that they're just fucking idiots. But another part of me thinks that they're addressing that. Like, hey, as a brand, we were set up really well this year, but as a competitive team, we weren't. That's me playing devil's advocate. I don't necessarily believe that.
Okay.
That's me trying to connect two dots.
Fair.
I think for me that reads like someone misplaced the adjective. Like to better equip our team for competitive success or whatever. Like
I like that a whole lot better. Makes a lot more sense.
Weird wording. Just I mean it's a pet peeve, but like it that kind of
just from first principles. This paragraph reads terrible.
Yep. So okay, we're announcing the release from their roles effective immediately.
Yeah.
This would be the second time that you have problems. Just looking at it objectively, whether you agree or disagree, the management seems to think that they have problems. and are removing people or putting pressure on people mid-season. Happened with Kate. Now it's happening with Bawlynn, right? And Bani, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does this, you just not have poop on your own shoe? You keep walking around, man, it smells terrible in here. So, did my deodorant not work today? No, you have your shit on the bottom of your shoe. When is it the upper management's problem? When is it the owner's problem?
At some point, you gotta even question what happened in season 1 if the pattern repeats in season 2.
Yeah. And then that's just objectively. I don't think this was my personal opinion. I don't think that they had much to do with being problem children in this team. If I had to guess, doesn't seem like that's the case. That said, I think the management have no clue what's going on here. And they're just like, team doing bad, must fire people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you hire new people that you're just going to replace next season because the team's going to do bad because you don't know who you're hiring? I don't know. This also comes from the team that says, you know what, guys, I know we're traveling and this is going to be a global league, but 8 players seems good. Also the team that decided to run Jonas every game last season. So it shouldn't be surprising to me.
Look, there's so many outs you have in this, right? One out for you to let go of Bawlynn is just say, well, we needed someone that is brand minded. She built a great brand with gladiators. Now that they are not 5 homestands to fill, we have a redundancy here. There's we don't really need the workforce here, and this has hit us hard. There's the easiest out, dude. It's
sure
something
you can spin it that way.
It's COVID. John Spector's not doing it.
Yeah, the league's definitely using that.
Come on, you have the blueprint there.
Yeah, I get it.
So I don't understand why you need to word it that way, unless something really bad happens, to which, ironically, none of the players is commenting publicly.
Yeah.
The people that now don't have to fear the system are actually going against you in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Just reading the outside signs, I know in which corner I am on this story, right? This is the
Overwatch
handling on this
league team organizations have this incredible knack of coming off as complete nitwits and idiots and just so disconnected. I'm so sick of it at this point. This is not so. There's two arguments to be had, and I wish the argument that we were having today was, does a team or does a GM of a team that lost 2 of its star players, who is, I would say, underperforming based compared to their expectations, does that GM have a job next season in the same in the same thing? I think that would be a really fascinating conversation to have.
Sure.
What do you what do you look at for those bottom teams like Boston? What do you look at for Justice? And having a real conversation on where do we think the problems lie? How can we bring people in and have conversations about it? But instead, here's what we're talking about. Hey, Justice, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about your press release where you throw your team under the bus and the people who are honestly beloved. There's so many better ways to do it, and I can literally fart out better ways to handle this situation than for you to put and here's the thing. I have a conspiracy theory based on, so I don't know Bawlynn very well at all. I don't. So I don't know. But her tweet 2 hours ago, thanks for all the support. I'm collecting my thoughts and will write more in a bit after some time to process. I've heard a lot of things about Annalyn. Unprepared is not one of those. This does not read as something that is she knew about it or had a lot of time to think about it and decide how she was going to address her going out. Yeah. And I also applaud her for the way that she does it. She still does it with grace and doesn't throw the organization under the bus, which I would have done.
Oh,
For the first second to be like, hey, idiots, thanks for telling me now. Or, hey, you could have given me fucking more days to, oops, missed the bleep.
sometimes you miss.
Sometimes you miss. There's so many other ways to do this. And I don't think that Bawlynn knew.
No.
Or that she knew for longer than it would take to like write up a twit longer.
Yep. That's where we're at. It's esports also. Like it should be not par for the course, and it's not something that should be excused. But
yeah.
Another day in esports that somebody, gets let go through a tweet. It's like
Also,
why are you here?
In fairness, now that I saw, see, this is why I asked what kind of a Yiska I had to bring out is now that John has popped off, we got to say, and I think it's only fair to point that out.
I'm going to hate
Once
you
again, the Washington Justice didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
So far.
I just said this.
Yep.
And
he's getting there. He's getting there. Let him get there.
And depending, like, there are things that a GM decides, such as a head coach, such as,
Yes. Sure.
for instance, like another thing that was frequently pointed out in among the tier 2 scene, they requested an insane amount of work to apply for the coaching role.
Yeah.
And then people tracked the number of views on their application that some of them had spent between 6 and 40 hours on.
Now,
and
to
there
clarify,
was 0 views on that.
what coaching position are we talking about? I'll play
for the
layman here.
Justice. Yeah.
Which position? Head coach, assistant coach?
No. I think
analyst?
it was assistant coach. It was just like I think John Galt put out the requirements or like the stuff, and this ruffled a lot of people the wrong way.
Sure.
I like even in the announcement later on. Now, this is of course not necessarily what like it depends on who did that, because you will notice there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen there. You have Grant, you have Pre, who's the assistant head coach. You had Bawlynn, you had John Galt.
Yeah.
Like then of course the ownership comes in with Mark Ain. Like there's a lot of theoretically faulty points here, and I don't know who to blame for the mishandling of coaching.
I am not saying that Annalyn and Bani should be GM and coach. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not even advocating for that they shouldn't be fired in the middle of the season. I don't like those. I think Justice had a lot going for it outside of that I would have kept them, from what I know, assuming that they're just not like toxic and there's just information out there that none of us have access to with disqualifiers. The only thing I'm saying is that if I am in the boardroom with the Washington Justice upper management and they're going to be like, here's how we're going to let them go, I'm saying no or I quit. Like, no, we're doing it differently or we quit. Finish out Melee.
Sure, yeah.
Just start there. Finish out Melee. What if you wrap a few with your 14-day ringers? I don't know. Like, do it after that. Give it some time. Have a conversation about it. I'm not saying that they haven't had a conversation about it, but it sure doesn't look like this is something that people were prepared for
definitely
in the Justice organization and outside.
So here's another working thought, not theory, but more of a thought, right? Grant and Pre both joined this team last season, correct? Am I misremembering that? Doesn't matter date, but that was last season when
no idea.
You could say Justice was a dumpster fire, right? They bring in a new general manager, Bawlynn comes in, tries to do the best she can. She's immediately, we're halfway through the season and she's gone. Just like John's saying, not prepared at all. Where else is the accountability here? So it's just a GM who I'd have to guess probably was never allowed to do much, because you have an assistant GM and then a vice president of esports business, whatever the hell that means. And then Bani leaves because it probably was just a dumpster fire that he walked into and was like, oh no, nope, I'm good. And probably was already checked out by the time that he was in this team. So you have one person who never got to try, was probably given a title, and what really could she have done when you have two people who are immune to veto? And then Bani is like, what do I do here? I'm an assistant coach. I'm a former player. Like, I can try, but this is a mess. So you let those two people go. You effectively just sacrifice them, and it continues.
I don't have a lot of.
This is ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong, unless like they make some huge signings and they bring in somebody who just gets it. Like, I get what you're saying. Now, to be fair, this is only 2 iterations of, like, we can call this the end of iteration 2 of the Washington Justice.
Yeah.
We'll call it the Kate iteration, and now we had the Annalyn iteration.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while 0 for 2 is not good, it's also not like a representative sample size.
No, of course,
This
like,
is
you need
an organization that can't build a good team. Like, who knows how much, like, hero pools, like, how much of it is on Annalyn for losing Corey and Stratus?
Okay, I'm gonna fight you on that one, because the same thing was said last season with Goats. Was like, well, guys, we didn't know Goats was gonna last this long.
I did not say
I know that's not
Goats.
what you're saying, but what I'm saying is,
if
like,
you can't handle
I think
meta shifts, that's fine. If you can't handle the actual
I agree.
heroes
It's
you
not
can play every week, they're totally different.
The cases here aren't necessarily directly comparable, but you can see where I'm getting at with, like, trying to spin it where it's like, guys, hero pools was really bad, and so we have to fire our general manager. That's where I go, whoa. That's like a coaching thing. That's like an analysis thing. That's different. Why is it that the general manager, which is a title that is very nebulous in Overwatch League, right? We have general managers coming out saying they do XYZ. We have general managers coming out talking about doing, ABC, right? It's very, different hats for different teams. I don't think you could spin it hero pools. I think I would be a little bit more perturbed. If Annalyn has something to do with, like, the team and how they operate with hero pools, I'd be like, well, okay, we got some problems first off.
I agree, but do you trust anybody in a Washington Justice boardroom to understand that?
0. Yeah, no.
That's my point. They don't listen they don't listen to Tactical Crouch, Joe. They don't have the insight.
Somebody get the mark on,
soft, wrinkly brains that everybody in chat does right now. Hey, chat, how you guys doing?
Do you want soft brains or hard brains?
I learned this. You want a soft brain. You want a soft and wet brain. I learned this from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because Jake Peralta goes, suck on wet that brain? In my rock hard brain, or something like that. And Captain Holt's like, no, that's wrong. You would want your brain to be soft and wet.
I know you want it like pruny. You want it like wrinkly. Because that's like...
Yeah, the more wrinkles you have, the more passages for knowledge there are.
And you know who has a smooth and hard brain? This team. This team has a smooth and hard brain.
I think you want a brain that fits in the skull that Nero has tattooed on his arm. Because that...
Are you getting on tattoos now? First it's rings.
Have you seen the
0.
The bulge? The button? Oh, I think it's up. I can't even pronounce it. An occipital bun or something like that. Like the thing here. It's huge. The snake is just like, I can't reach around it. I'm too small of a snake. But
what the hell?
Sludge.
Yeah, you have a tattoo fetish. Also, Chad, he has a hand fetish.
Anyways, chat. If there's let's put a bow on this here for a second, because I think we went down kind of some negative paths. We went through some rants and other things. I will sum up my thoughts on it. I am not advocating for or against Annalyn as a GM.
Yeah, don't know her.
I am advocating against the way the Washington Justice handled the public portion of how they handled removing Annalyn and Bani. I am advocating against the trend of these really cold PR. It's like these teams that just don't they just don't seem to understand like basic fundamentals on like how you develop and curate a culture of fans and loyalty. And for me, I'm super disappointed in the way that was all handled. And I expect a lot more from companies who had at least $20 million to buy into this league. That's where I am. I don't think right now is the right time. We can have a really great conversation though about, is this a GM that you keep? Is this a GM that you don't? I think that's a great conversation. It's not for today. But
one quick thing. Yiska's always made a very strong point that I very vehemently agree with when we talk about the gatekeepers. Who are the decision makers in this team? That's the people you should be looking at.
Yeah. The gatekeepers. If your org is not running well, then look whoever bottlenecks the decisions, who you have to get past to get stuff done.
And it's not always titles that make decisions, right? Like it's not always decision making and leadership can come from people who, weirdly enough, don't have the strongest title, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where I look at this and raise an eyebrow. But yeah, we've belabored it.
We have, and I do want to talk about the melee.
Yeah, it got you.
The melee is a thing that's happening this weekend, and it's a pretty big deal.
Should I juice you up, guys? You want some juice?
I'm drinking. If you're pouring.
Okay. Let me get a sip of the juice.
Cheers.
So we're juicing. Very good chat. You know how there's a game tomorrow, right? Depending on, where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Between the Toronto Defiant and the Vancouver Titans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed.
And based on that determines the bracket, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Both brackets have already been drawn. So teams can prepare for their opponents in advance. And you understand what I mean, right? But depending on who wins the qualifier, goes into this bracket.
Yeah.
And the decisions that the teams would take based on that could be different. Probably won't be, but maybe they will be because that Defiant had a little bit of an uptake. And you might think, maybe I'd rather take a lower ranked team than the Defiant is currently. Yeah. So what they did is teams have already drawn or selected for both cases in order to allow them.
So they're given pools, is what you're saying. Like they're like, hey, hypothetically, Toronto won.
Yes.
Yeah. What would your draft be?
Here's your pick. Here's your pick.
Yeah.
Yes. And what happens if the Titans won? Here's a pick. Here's a pick. And that allows you to prepare for an opponent. And that is, I would argue, a very positive change because in this, what you could conceive of the meta, and I'm not sure what the weeks are, I haven't done my research yet and whatnot. But I think from my information that came based on team feedback, and they had a super good turnaround on it, and it's very positively received in terms of just being able to prepare because it's a stressful.
They can't deviate from that, right? Like they can't say if Defiant lose.
I don't think so.
Oh, you think somebody flips the script and is like, no, actually, we want Boston. I know I put that down, but we actually want Boston. So can we get Boston?
Yeah, they can't, right? And just throw a fork in everything.
I mean, it's a good thing.
Now, I wonder if there is a record. I don't know this, but for Asia, there was a recording of coaches picking.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's happening, if they're playing.
So, okay, by recording, do you mean there was a recording of the teams making the choices and then the content And then the content
I'm not
team-
sure if that's happening in NA, but it happened in Asia. You saw like
right. You had
like
the teams. Okay, I think I know what
you saw. I don't know if that happened. Like, don't know.
Okay.
But overall, thumbs up to the Overwatch League because that really helps the quality of the games. Showcases, makes it less random, gives teams time to prepare for their specific opponents, gives time to possibly throw curveballs to anticipate, look at, okay, what were these teams good at? Maybe what's
you can get something from
with what works right now. What is are they likely to gravitate to, and that type of stuff. And I think that's a very positive change that will really increase the level of play we're going to see this weekend.
That's great.
I hope this is a standard. I hope that this is like a learned experience where we're like, oh, what if we just thought a little bit ahead and say, well, what if we actually gave these teams a chance to figure out who they're playing against in multiple different scenarios? Like we try to give them as much preparation time as they can so that this can be a good show. The product can succeed. This is a good thing, but I'll be the Debbie Downer that's like, why is this now like not the norm? Like where has this been? Like this seems so like basic.
We haven't done a tournament with a play like this, have we? With a knockout like this?
No, but I think it's like the first thing you could even like think of to do for these teams. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I know we have no time, so it's like, why don't we do this? Why haven't we like? It's not specifically this tournament. It's the idea that why are we excited about like some sort of basic preparation for these teams?
And even zoomed out a little bit.
Go ahead. Yes.
Zoomed out a little bit. It's the team said, "Here's a problem," and the league went solution.
Great.
Like this.
I'm glad.
And that's this type of stuff that should be applauded.
Yes, it is a good thing. Don't get me wrong.
It's a step. Like, listen, the Overwatch League has lowered the bar from themselves. I get what you're saying, Joe.
Yes,
is like
you get it.
We're the bar is so low that we're now applauding like something that is.
It feels so bad. It is. You should be applauded. Like I hope that we can incentivize them to continue doing this.
Thank you. Yes, this is great. But like, where was this foresight for every other little change?
Yes.
See, I don't feel like the bar being lowered is like. I feel what is legitimately bad is the communication of the things they're doing towards us. Like, for instance, why do we have to find out through a general manager tweeting that there's only 7 requirement of 7?
What's up with that?
By the way, you know who replied to leak that, by the way, right?
That guy.
You got the juice other people again?
You got the juice.
He's the juicer. He's just
you can call me the juicer.
There we go.
Hey.
And it took them like a good month to like
nobody
actually
picked it up.
Yeah, that's
what I'm talking about.
That's the but it's a problem in perception, not necessarily.
But this perception problem has existed forever. The communication from this organization, not even the league, but just Blizzard in general, has been horrible.
Yeah. Okay, Joe. Yes. Okay, we're talking about Melee here, though.
I know it is exciting, and this is a positive thing. But like,
Yiska,
come on, man.
Thank you for the juice.
You should have told me which Yiska to bring. Honestly, like,
Yiska, thank you for the juice. We're not.
It is a good thing. End of the day, good thing. I'm excited for Melee.
Let's make some predictions.
We're being happy from here on out. I promise.
I wanna make some predictions. We need to. We just need to, and I need to put the timestamp for this. Otherwise, YouTube gets angry at me. All right.
Big mad.
So let's go. We're gonna go through the NA bracket first because it's more interesting to me. So I'm going to try my best to do this. Great for audio listeners as well. But we do have like a bracket viewer for video. So pay attention, I guess. So let's hop into the qualification game. We're going to take a look at Yiska's bracket first for the qualification round. Titans versus Defiant. Yiska has Defiant. KT, myself, I have Defiant, and Joe. All three of us have Defiant over Titans. So no faith in the Titans org yet.
0.
All right.
No.
It's also like Defiant's actually looking better.
Yeah.
Like
They've
I
had a
do
few,
kind of.
they've had a few good.
Yeah.
That's by the way, little plug. I released an article about emotional leadership and leadership as anyway, and I got a comment from Baroy about how Cruz has helped with his input as a leader, and also referring back to
what Christopher said.
Christopher saying that on Crouch 2 weeks earlier. So
got two people saying it. Different sources. So
leadership is huge in this game. Confidence is huge. I'm going to talk about that later. Like, just to summarize a little bit of the aspects, reach out to people, just like what confidence does to different teams and how they're going about making people confident. But yeah, that's I. Of course, it's rough that they lost against Valiant, was it, right? But
yeah, it was like 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, it's a close 3-2, and also Valiant is not a bad team in North America right now. So.
I mean, are we not going to not like briefly bring up the fact that they almost like went to 5 games versus the Shock? That game was painfully close.
Yeah, of course. But that was the week before, and then you would have maybe assumed, okay, maybe they're a good team now. Now they can beat the likes of the Valiant, and that didn't happen. But the fact that it was close still should give you the confidence to say they are a better team than what they were for the rest of the season.
I agree. Also, apparently, we're all goofballs.
We're goofballs. All right, let's go to the next one. We're going to go to the knockouts for the bracket. So here's essentially how it works. And I want to make sure I get this like completely right. So we the last 3 weeks we've done seedings, and then we just finished up. We just discussed the qualifications. So then you have the knockout rounds. So you have 4 teams, the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds. They get to pick in order their opponent based on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th seeds. So Eternal would pick 1st, Rain would pick 2nd, Gladiators would pick 3rd, Fuel would pick 4th. I hope I did a good job of explaining that. So let's take a look at Yiska's bracket. So Yiska thinks that the Eternal draft the Justice, the Rain draft the Uprising, the Gladiators draft the Defiant, and the Fuel draft the Outlaws.
Yep. Makes sense.
I want to see how close we are on that.
I think mine are spot on.
I drafted the same as well.
Yeah, they're forced to by that point.
Yeah.
Yep. I drafted the same as well. And yeah, we all drafted the same. So everybody drafted the same. There is some discrepancies though.
Real fast though.
Based on
hand raise.
Losses. Yes.
Teacher John.
What?
This is interesting that we've all kind of assumed that Boston is on an uptick where Justice is like definitively the worst team you could pick at the moment.
Yes, of course.
Even though Defiant has to qualify, like, so the seeds don't necessarily match up for people who necessarily are a little bit more casual. The seeds don't necessarily match up to the strength at the moment. And with Boston's previous performance, they've shown like enough strength, at least with that one match, to be able to be pushed ahead of the Justice, who I think, you know, I think you could argue, or there are people who probably will be arguing that Uprising should be Uprising should be the first team that you draft. So I could see some brackets where it's like Uprising before Justice, not Justice before Uprising. So kind of interesting that we all were on that same page.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting too. So let's talk about Yiska's results. So he says Eternal beat the Justice, fine. Rain beat the Uprising, fine. Gladiators beat the Defiant. And then the Fuel the Gladiators defeat the Defiant, and the Outlaws defeat the Fuel. Those are Yiska's pick.
The bottom half of these brackets are going to be a lot more interesting. Like I think Glad's Defiant is interesting. Fuel Outlaws is going to be close. Like I have it.
So you and I so the first 3 we all have the same. Joe and I both have the Fuel defeating the Outlaws.
Yeah.
In no hero
in no hero pools, that's not a
Yeah, that's a tough match to call.
Yeah. But I assume they played for their lives in the Lone Star Clash, and they had to be resurrected right after the game. So they lost one of their 7 lives. And the Outlaws currently are having a matchup advantage. See how that works?
Shut up. Imagine you're the person to try and use that as ammunition to try and justify that. Like, out of everybody on this show, you're the one to say that.
Imagine not thinking about or not taking into consideration that people have 7 lives.
Shut up.
Can't argue with that logic.
I will say, no.
Okay.
Not to completely derail from this match. I think there is a world, and I almost put this down. I was very tempted to say that Defiant was actually going to beat the Gladiators.
Ooh.
I mean,
I think that's the type of thing where it's like it's a sweet narrative and like
we're starting to tie things together.
Wait, does that smell funny? Is that narrative analysis that I'm smelling here? Okay, put that away. It's probably not going to happen, guys.
I think it's very unlikely, but I think there's like a non-0% chance that the Defiant are coming in with a lot, like a honeymoon phase with Cruz. And again, the Glads just got not mollywopped, but they lost to Boston, who again are not a good team. They're improving, still not a good team. That has to do something to you. That's more of that, like adds to the multiplier of like lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Which they have not shown. Like, look at their last couple matches. They lose to Paris 3-1.
Yeah, 1-3 to Paris. They defeat the Defiant 3-1.
Sure. So the head-to-head is there, right?
They beat the Valiant 3-2.
Sure.
They get swept by Shock. They sweep the Fuel. They get swept by Dynasty. So, yeah, I think
it could be closer than people expected.
Yeah, so I think
that's
the fact that all 3 of us are agreeing on that doesn't mean that this is like a 80-20 game.
Mm-hmm.
What, 65-35?
Yeah, I could go there. I could go 65-35. Yeah. I could go 70-30, like in that range. You know, like this could go. This should be a Glads win. The question is like, how strong are they going to be winning these games? How close is this game? That kind of thing.
It never ceases to amaze me how Joe can go. Like, I almost went with the Defiant 70% Glads.
Yeah, it's a strength thing. I mean, like, looking at that game and looking at like, okay,
that's a funny
Defiant are on the uptick. To be fair, does happen a lot, right? I do want to have some spicy takes because entertainment. But yeah, I can't argue that for Defiant just yet. If they do beat the Gladiators, then maybe I look at the bracket a little bit differently and go, okay, well maybe there's something here. Maybe if we see something that inspires a little bit of faith. Chat's talking about how the lack of Sure4 is a worrying trend. I think, weirdly enough, that might be a positive trend. Yeah, I don't hate that team right now. I think they might not be able to do it in the May Melee, but they might be trending upwards. I believe it.
You know which game I thought was closer to call? And that's also a little bit...
NYXL New York? Or NYXL New York? Chengdu NYXL?
Rain Uprising.
No. Rain Uprising.
No.
I don't know, dude.
Rain have been getting clapped the last couple games.
Where is he?
No.
So Rain have been getting clapped. Boston makes a bunch of unknown quantity upgrades that performed really well. Gets their first one. I get where you're going, Yiska.
Yeah, the thing is,
it's
like
dumb, but it's so dumb it might.
I mean, like
that's why I didn't go with it. But
yeah, I see where your head's at. I just am like, no, they're not that bad.
It's very likely that for Boston, just the stars aligned, everything, and like that's how they beat the Gladiators. And but at the same time, Rain is also not looking that nice.
They are getting raise an eyebrow. They are
a
5-5 team. They are a 5-5 team. They haven't taken a map off of a top team since April.
Dude, all I'm saying is, Joe, if the Uprising was Chengdu here, I would bet on them. because of how much I'm a lover
that's
of
the thing.
Chinese Overwatch. I am.
Was
They're
Chengdu. If the uprising was Chengdu. Okay.
Also, funny you should mention that because
If
Color
celery
Hex
was
is on
ice
this
cream,
team.
I would eat it.
Oh yeah.
Color Hex
Sure.
is on this team. So
Yeah.
how and why would you vote for Chengdu if Color Hex is just a better player?
Because I don't know if you know, but there's 6 players on each team in the
It's true.
Overwatch League.
That is true.
And the difference,
Uh-huh.
even though it's getting close, the
Mhm.
difference between Color Hex and Leave doesn't make up for
Ah, darn.
the other players.
Not even Punk and Myunbong?
No.
Ah, darn. Sorry, guys. Try to get it out of him.
All right. Let's go on to the quarterfinals. And we're going to follow Joe's bracket for this one. So Joe and I have the Fuel beating the Outlaws. Sorry, Dream.
Yeah.
Try to keep the expletives to
I
a
mean,
minimum.
to be fair, Outlaws definitely could win that. I think it comes down to how much of a performance can Decay put up.
Let's talk drafts first before we talk results.
Okay.
So Shock. So how the quarterfinals work. Let's do this. So the Shock pick the winners. They have a choice between the winners of the knockouts.
Yeah.
So Eternal, Reign, Gladiators, and Fuel/Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
So the Shock draft, and the Valiant draft, and the Fusion draft, and then the Mayhem are stuck with whoever is left over.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody there? Sorry, audio listeners.
so.
I know this is a little hard with
Kind
the
of all over the place,
visualizations.
Bear with us.
So Joe says
Get you
the
there.
Shock draft the Gladiators.
Mhm.
The Valiant draft the Eternal. The Fusion draft the Reign. And the Mayhem are stuck with the Fuel.
Now, to be fair, the order in terms of draft picks would be Shock, Mayhem, Fusion, Valiant. They pick in that order.
Oh yeah, you're right. So Shock, yeah, let's do it that way. So Shock draft Gladiators, Fuel draft. I might have done that part wrong. Mayhem draft Fuel. No.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Fusion draft the Reign, and then the Valiant draft the Eternal. Or they're left with the Eternal.
So I'm claiming that the Shock are drafting Gladiators. I think out of the pool of teams,
Settle down, chat. Settle down.
Would they though?
why wouldn't they?
All right.
Because
let's just we'll talk.
They would
let's
draw the
discuss it.
Fuel.
Let's see.
No.
Let's see.
Of course,
so
they would draft the Outlaws. But
the funny
Sure.
thing, I must have just done this correctly. Because I drafted, no, I didn't do it correctly. Well, actually, I'll stand by it though. So I say the Shock draft the Fuel.
Yeah.
I say the Mayhem draft the Gladiators. Fusion, Reign, Valiant, Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the middle part of the bracket, like we all agree on, or most of us agree on.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just, I think Gladiators are going to probably look a lot weaker than we're still giving them credit for against this Defiant team.
Let's see who Yiska drafted. So Shock draft the Outlaws, Mayhem, Gladiators.
Yeah,
Fusion, Reign,
he's on the
Valiant,
assumption
Eternals.
that Fuel and Outlaw are the best teams to draft going into, like, as a first pick.
Yeah.
That those are the two weakest teams you could draft either way.
I mean,
Which
you
I
can
don't
make the
necessarily
argument
agree.
that Decay and Doha might be on their nuts picks.
Yeah.
I just don't see how like Moira, Sombra, Tracer Dive, which they probably want to play,
Mhm.
is a viable option. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
So-
completely not.
Here's
You don't think
the
they can run like
results.
Tracer Echo?
Even Tracer Echo is probably not enough.
So here's the results. Joe says Shock beat Gladiators in round 1. Sure.
Yeah.
I say they beat the Fuel. Yiska says they beat the Outlaws. Fine.
Yeah, I don't think we have any crazy.
Eternal beat the Valiant. Fusion beat the Reign. Yiska has the Mayhem defeating the Gladiators.
Yeah.
I have the Gladiators defeating the Mayhem. And
Yeah, I don't-
then Joe has the Fuel beating the Mayhem.
Wait, Yiska has the Mayhem
Yiska
winning?
has the Mayhem winning.
Oh.
I looked at this because originally I did too. I'm like, yeah, they're 6-1. They're doing great. Or whatever. And then I looked at the Florida Mayhem's schedule. So they did beat, so they lose to Atlanta Arena 3. They did beat Paris Eternal 3-0. And they beat the Boston Uprising twice 3-0. The Vancouver Titans post change 3-0.
Yep.
And then they beat the Justice 3-1. Like, I'm happy the Mayhem are winning. I'm trimming pounds like a boss. This is great.
Oh, I didn't think of it from this way.
But I don't think that there's a world in which, based on those results, that all of a sudden, and they're not, they seem like a fairly elastic or inelastic team based on hero pools. Like, they don't seem to like have these wildly fluctuating, like, take Orisa out and I'm going to pull a soul kind of thing. They're relatively inelastic in that perspective. I think they're just kind of, the Mayhem are just kind of, I don't think that there's any way in which I don't see how Florida win. I want them to win.
I think they could beat the Glads, especially if they're looking rough against the Defiant. Like, I think that's no, I think it'd be closer, depending on what we see versus the Defiant. I think it could be a lot closer. That's like nearing like coin flip. Like, it could go either way. Because again, we still don't have like a ton of time for these teams to prepare. Granted, like, yeah, we had the way that the league kind of set up the qualification and gave teams, the chance to draft their pools based on both qualifications happening. Like, that's a great thing, but you have 3 days to prepare for this, and then you have to run this tournament on the weekend. So you still don't have a ton of preparation. So if Glads come out and look bad against Defiant but still win, and then have to play the Mayhem, that could go either way. I could see that going either way.
The problem is that the Mayhem are very hard to rank based on the strength of schedule they had.
Yeah.
But they beat everything, like clap 3-0 in the
They beat everybody they should beat.
Sorry, like they didn't win against Justice 3-0, but
whatever.
The thing I'm looking back at is also, and yes, it's a weekend one, but against the Paris Eternal 3-0.
The 3-0 on Paris is an eye raiser for sure.
Definitely. That's the big selling point. That
might have been the first weekend that Exy was gone as well, though.
Yeah, it might have been, yeah.
Or even if it wasn't, that was also Widowmaker McCree band.
Yeah.
So either way, not Paris's like best performance. That's why So that's why I put it there.
I think the Mayhem versus either the Fuel or Glads is going to be close. Like, I don't think it's decisive.
I don't think. I think it's a 3-1, 3-2. There's not a sweep happening here. A close 3-1.
I'd be surprised.
Or 3-2, like a really close 3-1 or 3-2. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going with mine for the semifinals. Any other results? Fusion over Rain. Eternal over Valiant. Nobody. I feel like everybody's bracket
plays out the same.
Nobody had Valiant over Eternal. So let's go to the semifinals. I have Shock Eternal.
Everybody has Shock Fusion.
Gladiators. And then Joe, same Shock Eternal Fusion Gladiators.
Yiska.
And Yiska, Shock Eternal Fusion Mayhem, right? Sorry, I forgot. I have this set up weird, chat. Sorry, I'm not like the best at doing this. So, Shock Eternal.
We need to explain it for the audio listeners anyway.
Yeah. So at this point, so Shock Eternal Fusion are the same across everyone. Joe and I have Fusion Gladiators. Yiska has Fusion Mayhem.
So we're all in agreement that Shock and Fusion will be playing in the grand finals.
Yes.
Okay.
This is it's a long way to say Shock Fusion in the grand finals. Now the question is, who wins? So Yiska says the Shock win in the grand finals,
which I don't hate. I don't think I dislike either team.
Joe says the Fusion win in the grand finals. and I did say that the Shock do win in the grand finals. This was really tough for me on this one. I honestly don't know. And I would not I don't feel strongly in my pick at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough too, because like my immediate go-to
Sunday
was
finals are best of 7, by the way. I don't know if that changes your
fantastic. 0. No, it doesn't change anything. My immediate rationale by picking Fusion is looking at how shaky Shock has been throughout the regular season. You can immediately counter that by saying, well, hero pools aren't in the game, right? Aren't in this game, so they should be a lot more consistent. And I have to agree with you, even though we all would probably agree that because you don't have enough time off, this is just another hero pool, right? Being able to find what the meta is still as difficult this week as it is in any other week. You just don't have restrictions now, which maybe I'd even argue is harder, but we'll see. So yeah, I don't hate it either way. I think there are ways that Shock can step up. They've always stepped up in playoff scenarios and when they've kind of had their backs put against the wall. I just look at Fusion. I look at the strength they've shown all season. They've played more games against a wider range of teams. I don't know. I look at them and I give them the edge here.
For me, it's like, and I know this is not a strong argument whatsoever, right?
Okay.
Because if I look at the constitution of both of these teams, who's been in the final? In like a big Overwatch League final.
Sure.
And for Philly, that's over half the roster as well.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of the backline.
Are we discounting Alarm?
Right? I mean, in Overwatch League.
It doesn't matter.
I think it does. Otherwise, it shouldn't have for the Shock in season 2 as much, right? Like X6, that type of stuff. Am I misremembering my timelines?
I mean, X6
did Architect and Choi ever become contenders champion? Yeah. Okay. They were on that roster. Yeah. Yeah. They of course have ridiculous experience, and it's also not a huge stage where you have the crowd roaring for or against you. And I also recognize there are, like, for instance, Ants is green to finals, technically Striker. Yeah. Did they have a stage final?
Yeah, didn't they win a stage? I know they had that perfect stage. God, they never won a stage. Ruined my memory.
Valiant won a stage.
Valiant did win a stage, and then it was NYXL in London. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. They've played in stage playoffs, though. I guess not the final.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It doesn't overly matter. It's more like the constitution of that team. And I also think in prep, Shock at this point, I think, has a leg up. Of course, a lot changed for them, which makes it a little bit more...
What changed?
Like players.
Architect being gone. We still don't know if Twilight's even
Sinatra being gone. We don't know what the leadership situation there is.
Sure.
We don't know if Twilight comes in.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Do you expect Twilight to come in? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Might be a little bit too early.
I'm going to say
I'm
that.
I'm
going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm not. To be fair, I'm not measuring this Shock as a Twilight Shock, but even if it was, I think I'd still pick a Fusion. I think it might be an actual detriment to put him in this early and put him on ping, because I don't think he's in the States, is he?
Oh, I thought he was.
I'm not sure.
I'd imagine he's not. If they moved back to Korea, if the Titans moved back to Korea,
yeah.
And now they got dropped, and now he has to come back. Yeah. I don't think he's in the States.
I think that's a majorly. By the way, at some point we got to talk about how impossible it is to get a visa.
Yeah,
right now, where it is honestly at a point where it will probably even impact heavily the off season.
Mm-hmm. Do you already have a visa? Do we have to apply for a visa in the middle of the season if something, COVID breaks out again and, people close
The
their
backlog
borders?
is just nuts.
Yeah.
Like it takes like twice as long to get a visa at the moment, if not more.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the situation will turn into. Yeah. So we'll see. But
so the point is we don't know.
I don't hate your pick of the fusion.
Yeah, I don't hate Chalk either. Like, I think this is going to be an absolute banger. I think it's going to go both ways. I think my argument is very heavily based on like the regular season, even though that's kind of toss up in the air because hero pools definitely change a lot. The counter immediately, like I said, is we don't have hero pools now. So there's a lot to be discovered, and that's the fun part about the Melee, right? We finally get to see what this game could look like, even though I hope there are changes coming, including a break leading into Melee, so you can get a little bit of refinement so we can have stronger points. I still think, again, this is all a great thing.
For the entire Melee.
What if we just stop having hero pools?
Why do you want goats again?
I don't.
Why do you want to go through goats again? Because that's what you want, but not wanting hero pools. You want goats.
I guess it's one way or the other.
All right. I want to.
It's gonna be sick though. Everybody be excited. This is a good thing. Thumbs up. Not a bummer.
All right. So there you have it. I mean, relatively close conclusions all throughout the NA bracket.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I think a couple like did Fuel beat Houston or Houston beat Fuel, and then we had the one on Gladiators versus Mayhem.
Glad's Defiant. How Mayhem will do in general.
Glad's Mayhem. I think those were the only disagreements though, is those two matches. So
I think in most like tournament structures like this, even in like the stage finals, in most areas we all agree, but there are like contentious, potential matches where upsets could happen where you could argue either way, and it's like, well, I don't think anybody's wrong here. I don't hate the arguments.
Anura asks potential dark horse. So let's take a team that's not in the semifinals or finals. You have to pick a team to win or to make it to the grand finals. Which team do you pick? I'll go first. I'm going to say Paris Eternal.
Yeah, that would probably be my go-to. But because that's taken, I'll say...
I mean, they're also in semifinals for some of us, right?
Well, right, but what he's saying
that's
is
right. Yeah, they were in the semifinals. Never mind. They're not. They had to have lost in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, chat. Settle down and subscribe. So they lost. So Fuel, Valiant, Reign, Mayhem, Outlaws,
or Gladiators.
Defiant, Uprising, or Justice.
You got your pick? This might vary. I'll surprise you with this one.
You're gonna say Fuel.
I'm going to say Fuel.
Dude, I know my co-host so well. I love you guys.
If they actually find a good meta and they can pop off nuts and Decay does Decay, then they are the dark horse element in this tournament. I don't think I see anyone else other than maybe like Rain riding in on the Erster horse or something like that. Like that being them reuniting. I don't see another team in among those to be able to get to the finals.
I like that pick. That's fine. I get it. I'm gonna go for the 2019 runner-ups, Vancouver Titans. Whoa, good one, chat. Yeah. So I think the easy one here though is probably the Atlanta Reign, right? Like, that's the one of like they're underperforming, so let's assume they perform
kind of underselling them.
Yeah.
They could be a team that like does well without restrictions.
An underrated point also is that Decay brought the belt to this roster, and it's never going to happen again. To lose against a team like the Boston Uprising, and nobody on that roster wants to lose again, or be in the position to be there again. Everyone gives 140%, and they figure it out because by their talent,
they shouldn't be.
They are also a nuts roster.
Yeah,
that is my third runner up to that.
Joe, you have to pick, but we have to do it quick because we're running long.
I'll say Defiant. I think there's a world. I think there's a world where
you don't have to go that far back into the bracket, Joe. Just to
I
flex.
think I think Defiant could do well. I don't think they'll make grand finals. I don't know if that was a stipulation, but I think they could make a surprising run just in general. I think people might be surprised at that Glad's Defiant match, and then the draft might be impacted based on that performance.
I would pick the Justice before I pick the Defiant.
Really?
They got two former OWL runner-ups. They got two former runaways.
I mean, you got like a runaway and a half.
They at least have an X factor.
Yeah, they have Stitch.
Again, I don't care. Like, I still take that over an unplaying Surefour.
Yeah, I don't care that Surefours aren't playing. Legitimately.
Jesus,
listen,
my dude.
Yeah, I would choose Outlaws before. I think Defiant, I would only choose.
Oh yeah, why
Titans
is that not the
Uprising.
obvious pick? Actually, screw the Defiant. Yeah, I'd say Outlaws. Even though I don't have them winning.
Really?
Yeah, the Outlaws could do it. I think they're another kind of like Chengdu team.
Where you can let Blase, I
think
it's one where you get a Doom meta or something maybe.
But that's the thing is like without the restrictions now, there's an argument to be had that everybody's going to be shooting for their own style, and I think Outlaws know their style very well. And I think they could kind of not do it, but you kind of get that essence of, okay, they're not playing the meta or like what everybody's kind of like settled on as like a core composition. They're playing exactly what they think is the best, and they're performing on it really well. And I think they could actually shoot pretty deep.
That's fine.
I'll take that before Defiant. I'll say Outlaws.
So you say Outlaws.
As a dark horse.
I don't. Yeah,
if they can beat the fuel, I think they go deeper.
Listen,
that's
all
fine.
For the record, I care that Surefour doesn't play. I think that's a problem.
I think so too. I do think so too. We're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, we're not talking about
that right now. We are instead typing in timestamps, and then we're going into the Asia bracket. So Asia bracket is a little bit more straightforward. We already know the quarterfinals. You have Spark versus Dynasty, Excelsior versus Hunter, Dragons, Hunters and Dragons versus Spitfire. I am going to do.
I didn't pick a winner. Oops. Oh well.
You're going to on the show, Joe. We're gonna do your bracket first.
Okay.
And see your first round. You've
I think
got
this is my
Spark
bracket.
over Dynasty, Excelsior versus over Hunters, and Dragons over Spitfire.
Yep. Seems pretty cut and dry. Dynasty, not good.
We're going to talk about it. I say Dynasty over Spark, Excelsior, and Dragons. Yiska says
what I said.
Spark over Dynasty, Excelsior, and Dragons. So I'm the only one who went with Dynasty. I think y'all are overreacting to the Orisa-less meta. And you need to stop.
I feel like I was in your position last week and was burned.
Also,
we
is
didn't have
Architect
Orisa
going to
last
play
week.
for them? I think so, right?
We're fine. We're fine.
I think
I don't know that
Architect has to quarantine probably.
Probably.
Yeah,
He'd probably have a PC there, right? Like,
I don't
he'd be
care
able
that
to.
Architect's not playing. I don't think Dynasty's beating anybody right now.
No, I'm thinking ahead. If that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
further
If that's like a first, yeah. If that's the case and he does play, then that could
Spark either way as well.
Yeah. I don't think Dynasty, even when you get Orisa, who's to say Orisa is going to be core in a lot of these compositions? Yeah, that team needs a lot more than Orisa.
I'm just gonna say I think people are overreacting to a few poor weeks.
I'm sympathetic
I'm not saying
towards
that they're
that.
gonna win everything. I just saying that I think they're gonna have to.
I've seen your bracket.
The thing is, John, they are the dark horse in this bracket. I agree with that. Like, if they actually pop, then they pop, and then they can also win it. If there's actually a way they can find a meta that works for them, we've seen them being able to.
Yeah, they can London
dog.
Spitfire this. They have that kind of firepower. I agree, but it's so hard to dice roll. It's like them and the Hunters. It's just complete, just like, well, maybe they do. I don't know. There's no amount of tea leaf reading that would convince me that Dynasty is going to beat that, or like Hunters are going to beat NYXL right now. Like from what they've shown, there's nothing to support that.
Let's not forget, Hangzhou has lost to Seoul.
And they've also beat Seoul.
Beat Seoul. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. That's
they lost to NYXL. They lost to Guangzhou. Like this is a team that sweeps or gets swept. I mean, basically.
Dallas lost to Chengdu.
This is also a team that
they've only had
just picked up Architect.
Yeah. So
depending on that.
Yeah.
Sure. Even if you position the weakest Spark without Architect,
you will understand why I'm making this point in the next round.
All right. Let's put Yiska's bracket first, then go to the next round. I know that the Dynasty is not the top pick, and I understand. But I did it anyway. So going to the semifinals for Yiska, he's got Charge and he's got Spark over Charge, Dragons over Excelsior.
Which probably are going to be the final. I think Excelsior Dragons is going to be the final, like in feeling.
Let's do Joe. Joe says Charge over Spark. And Dragons over Excelsior. And then I messed that up. Chat. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Subscribe now. I say, you ready for it, dude? Dynasty over Charge.
You're high on life.
Dragons over NYX.
Somebody call it Cat, Bren. We've got Cat.
Suck it.
Cat Tripod.
And you can suck it.
Someone really feels this Orisa.
Yeah, real.
Deep in his Orisa back.
I'm all in. I know I basically am contradicting everything I said about Seoul last week. I just gotta feel, sometimes you get like this gut feeling right here. I think it's
right in your liver.
It's right where what's left of my liver.
Okay.
We're gonna call it the Dynasty. I don't think this is the word Dynaclast. It's gonna be
I don't even know what that is.
The Dynasty Dynaclast, and it's gonna pull him through on a 3-2 against the Charge.
I'd love to see nothing more than Prophet to get his head out of his rear end and stop pulling Genji blades immediately into Briggs, right? I'd love nothing more. I'd love for him to somehow find a way to play Echo, which I think is going to be a staple in this tournament. There's nothing for me to say that could happen with what they've shown.
Dynasty,
if anything,
chat,
they're on
help
fire.
me find out what body part next to the liver just
Gallbladder?
lets me know when the Dynasty is going to start winning. I'm telling you, man, like I get it. Like I'm glad Chat's
your twin brother,
Chat's
you
mostly on
absorbed
board.
it before birth.
No, like an alliteration thing, like a Dynaplast, or someone said a Dynasty diaphragm. Give me a name for that. I need a name. Be clever.
Dynasty dump spot. I don't know.
Yeah. I now, to be fair, I do think they hold a lot of the same attributes that the London Spitfire of 2018 have. I'll stand on that soapbox. There is a possibility. It can't be foreseen. There's no amount of prescience that you can hold that is going to convince me otherwise. I just have to see it when it happens.
I'm just also disappointed that Yiska doesn't believe that Prophet can adjust to Echo in 3 weeks.
He also hasn't, though. That's the problem. He's had 3 weeks.
4 weeks. That's the magic.
He can
number.
play Tracer again, to be fair. I'm not sure. It's so hard. Like
Sphincter. That's a good Dynaplast.
Without knowing what is being played in the meta. That's the problem.
Sure.
Like if I had a better grasp on it, I could make way better predictions. That's why you tune in on Friday when I give it to you on GG Recon.
I mean, do we just go to what the pre-hero pool?
No.
What is? No. I don't think, because that's a lot of people are assuming that we're gonna go into the.
I think it's a safe assumption. Like McCree, Logic would have it. Makes sense.
So who is it? It was McCree,
May McCree, Ryan Diva, and Orisa, Lucio, Brig, Lucio. That was like the supports were where it was kind of wonky. Where like,
but we didn't have Echo then.
No, we did.
We had a pretty big Brig change. Right?
I'm not even gonna comment on it. I have no idea.
Let's not go down that route.
If one of you coaches watching right now want to juice me up right now in my DMs, though, I definitely work that into my analysis right now.
Here's the thing.
So.
I need you to say this, coaches.
Okay.
If you're gonna give Yiska juice and you hear it on this show, say it's for tactical crouch only.
Tactical crouch exclusive.
First.
Exclusive. We're getting the scoop. That said, Yiska, I also want to hear. Okay, so we're talking about semifinal number 1, right? The Spark versus someone.
And so
we've gone over
Spark
Dynasty.
Versus Charge.
Yeah, we've gone over Dynasty. So let's talk about the Spark in the semifinals.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, Yiska, you think that Architects play.
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like a legal thing. I think I'm not sure if I know what the structure is for non-Koreans entering Korea.
Okay.
I don't know what the case is for Koreans entering Korea and if they can self-quarantine outside of these specified hotels, but can actually go into their own residence. If that's the case, I'm sure it's possible to give him a plane.
That makes sense.
Setup, and I'd be shocked if they play Adora if he can play.
Yep. If he can play, Adora's not going to be in there. I'm assuming he can't. This is also a charge that has like a big question mark on Nero, to be fair. So if Architect was to play and Nero was not to play, right? Yeah, definitely that paints a really positive and very pink picture.
Assumption. Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt for 1 second just to make sure that the audio listeners who might be kind of like, wow, this is a lot of things. So basically,
sure.
Joe and Yiska both have Charge and Spark in the semifinals.
Yep.
But Yiska has Spark beating Charge and Joe has Charge beating Spark. So that's what they're arguing.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, I mean, that's fair. I'm under the assumption that he's not going to be able to play. And by he, I mean Architect. Even with Nero not, I'm assuming Nero doesn't play either. So I'm looking at both teams without their stars. One with an added star, one with a star that's been with the team for a lot longer. I look at those teams. I still like Charge. I'm sorry, a lot more than I like Spark. Just on paper. Across a number of metas, clear style. Hand it to Godsby. Godsby's been pulling this team, kicking and screaming over that line, but I don't think that's enough.
I think if he plays, then maybe it's not a decay level of carry performance, but it will get there.
I agree. Yeah, if he does play, then I would flip my bracket, but I don't think he's playing until I see it. Then it's gonna unless there's like an official announcement that he is gonna be playing, and then maybe we can talk about it. But
Fire Element said Architect has been there a while, supposedly. Of course, I don't know where that info is coming from. If that's the case, amazing. Sure. And then also Lolshin said that apparently Wolf said that Korean citizens don't have to quarantine at these hotel spots, but rather can quarantine at home. So that
doesn't matter if well, I guess he's coming from the States. Interesting.
Yeah, because
there's a lot. We are not experts on any of this. So just keep the angry comments down and just be like, we're trying to do the best we can. Okay.
It's interesting. It could go either way. It has a lot of asterisks and qualifiers. This should be a pretty interesting match just to see if that happens. I think I don't hate either team, but let's face it, it doesn't matter who wins, right?
So
in the grand scheme of things.
Let's go to the grand finals.
Well, we got to talk about the bottom side. We got to talk about NYXL Shanghai, right?
Yeah, Shanghai wins.
Yeah, I think. Do we not want to talk about that?
Sure. Well, let's talk about it.
NYXL and Dragons?
Yeah. Seems like a pretty sick match.
It's unfortunate that the pitch is empty. Otherwise, I'd juice you up. But I guess that's for another show then.
Unlucky.
Yiska, it's been so long since you've given us some juice. We can't even.
Wait, it's been exactly 50 minutes. Darn.
You gave us one little morsel of it's like the juice you get from like gum by chewing it. It's really just your own spit.
Spit? Ooh.
It's really just your own spit. It just
I don't know. You guys gotta get better backwash then. This is delish.
Delish juice? enough juice to put NYXL over the Dragons, though.
Listen, so here I will say this:
Just thinking about it.
NYXL look better in Korea, I think.
Yeah,
don't they?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Dragons have lost
Dragons
to Seoul in Chengdu.
Yep.
They beat NYXL in 5 with hero pools, where McCree, Widow, Wrecking Ball, Mercy was out of the meta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think
I
this
don't
is.
know, guys. I really don't know, Chad. Please don't make me.
Did you just
also don't clip this?
What Yiska is saying?
I'm just
what
baiting.
Yiska is saying for Reddit is that
No, come on, don't do this.
Okay,
Like,
well, I won't do it. All right, fair enough.
Like, there's nothing there.
So you're so afraid of somebody leaking it because
It always happens,
there's
and
that
it's
big of a
always-
likelihood that it could be true.
I mean, I'm as informed as you
Anything's
guys
possible.
are.
Anything's possible. I think this is going to feel like the final. I think this is going to be a very good match. I don't think that Moon is going to be doing anything crazy. I don't think he's going to be doing anything experimentational, right? He's not going to be putting in some sort of B team. I think he's going to come out and I think he's going to really make a statement in this win. And this is the match I'd rather spend more time on than a Dragons versus Charge, Spark, or Dynasty final. If that makes sense.
But we know that they're gonna win.
I mean, sure, yeah.
That's all we care about. Who wins?
Welcome
to Overwatch.
Kind of. I do think Dragons are going to win. So if we're going to skip ahead to that, Dragons are going to win. They're going to get a 3, win.
We're not there
bonus
yet. I
added.
haven't revealed. I worked so long on the production of this. Look at chat. Look at my beautiful production. I'm bringing you I'm just sliding it in. I'm working so hard here for you. And then Joe.
And you don't even want to talk about NYXL
It's the
Dragons.
same, John, it's the same with your mom wrapping like the Christmas or the birthday presents like real nice. And you're just like, rip it off and just go, Nintendo 64. It's not
Next.
but the wrapping, right? Like,
Just want to make a really good. Just want to make a good show for you guys.
You do make a really good
Just
show.
want to make a good show for you guys.
You do.
Joe,
you gotta stop talking
He's
about
like, I
mom,
wanna
by the
talk
way.
about-
That tone is way too on point.
It's just what I wanted to do. All right. So let's take a look at Joe's stupid bracket. He's got the Charged Dragons in the finals and
Don't try to bully me, you Dynasty apologist.
He's got the Charged Dragons in the finals and didn't even pick a winner. By the way, way to go out on a limb with that first seed, second seed final. Wow. So brave.
I wish I could argue something else.
Hashtag kicked courage in chat. Thanks.
What do you say?
So
I wish I could argue otherwise.
Do you have Dragons winning at least in this one?
Yeah, 100%. Dragons are going to be winning this. I don't think you can put
I guess
them.
a really close 80-20.
No, I don't think this is going to be close at all. I think this is a stomp. I think, like I said, I think Dragons NYXL is the closer match. I think that's the final. That's the final we want to see. Unfortunately, the way the seeds worked, we didn't get.
I think I have the finals people want to see, but we'll see.
You want to see Dynasty get walloped by the Dragons?
Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Yiska, let's take a look at yours, man.
Yeah.
You've got Spark and Dragons. You got Dragons beating the Spark.
Yeah.
All right.
Dragons are the best team in the league.
Architects can't carry him over the league. Can't tow him over the line.
No, it's not enough.
Even if he does like a profit and just like shatters the ceiling.
Wouldn't
that be sick?
So
drinking to that, Joe. But
So I do have Dynasty and Dragons in the grand final. I do have Dragons winning.
Thank God.
But I just want to say this. What if NYXL upset the Dragons and we get a Seoul NYXL grand final?
What if?
That would be kind of sick.
Wouldn't that be kind of sick?
Yeah.
That would be kind of sick, assuming that they won by playing well.
Yeah.
The only way that I like this, because I think even like just stupid upsets right now could be coin flips, because again, like this is just another hero pool, so you get like a lot of hand wavy, like, oh well, they didn't have enough time to prepare. The only way that I like that is if Dynasty ends up winning and they look just completely different and they can save their season by getting these 3 added wins. So they're just a team that does not do well in hero pools, but perform well in these tournaments to kind of save themselves for seasonal playoffs. The only way that I like this. If that's the case and we're going full chaos, that's fair.
It's gonna happen.
I'm about it. If that happens, cool.
I'm channeling.
That's sick.
I'm channeling. Like I got a pretty good track record for when I go against the grain. I actually do, for no good reason, for no good analytical reason.
Didn't you say that Houston was going to beat or lose to the Titans not too long ago, mister?
No, I said if there was going to be an upset to have this weekend, that would be the one that I would see, because we don't know enough about the Titans.
Fair enough.
That we're only going off of 1 week of results, but they shouldn't beat them. And Houston has not been consistent at all in the results. That's all I said. Anything else you want to misremember?
Okay.
Is there anything else, Joe, that you have for the class here?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I could find something.
Next time you try to bring that stale bread, make sure to bring the rest of the class.
You need to pipe down. You're talking to the Lord here, okay?
Listen,
Samber
you're
down.
not my
You have a Lord. You have a Lord.
You're not
emote?
my Lord. Listen,
You don't have an Lord
just
Lord
because
emote.
I don't get Yiska liquored up and make bets with him doesn't all of a sudden make me dumb.
You put that soap in your mouth and you like it.
Chat, this is the last episode of Tactical Crouch.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
We're not fighting. I need to make this very clear. Clear because some people think that we hate each other right now. And we don't unless you sub. And we won't unless you sub.
Mom and Dad will stop fighting immediately when you throw money at us.
We're good. Just money. It's just money. Just saying. We are looking for a third host. Totally unrelated. We are
to better equip the podcast for future success.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this was fun. So, anyways, we have Dragons winning in Asia. We have Shock winning in NA.
Or Fusion.
Who had Fusion again? Joe did. So, prepare to be disappointed.
True.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've heard that. How is Yiska not the one that? Yeah.
It's also not
That's exactly right. Exactly.
All right.
Very wrong.
God.
Not kind of sort of wrong.
Yeah.
Which is not like important distinction to make.
It is. It's not 3-1 Andy wrong.
Especially if you so often chicken out of giving me a Lord bet. Of course.
It's true. He basically, here's what Joe does is Joe baits you with these things over and over and over again. And but he won't take your bet on it. But every time he's moving the virtual percentages 2 or 3% until you start at like a 55-45 advantage to you're at like a 78-22 advantage. And that's all he does. And to be fair, it's smart, but it's con man smart. It's like the guy who used to come into the Apple store with like a printout of a kernel panic and be like, give me a free computer. And you just freak the genius out and be like, I don't know what this is. Get him the computer. It doesn't.
Yeah, but who has a computer now? Just saying.
John, all I'm saying, I read a comment in a Tactical Crouch thread not too long ago. And it was just like some guy completely like going hard in on Joe. And he went like, and this little chipmonk guy, that's always so negative. And I read chipmonk guy and went, that's kind of messed up that you did this, but
not wrong.
Chipmonk guy gets an upvote.
Yeah, I think I did see a message too about how the entire cow the entire
our cow, yeah.
Our cow sucks Volamel. So
Doing something right then. Must be doing something right.
You know what's hilarious?
First time for everything, I guess, huh?
It's true. I'll take it.
I posted my own thread this day today. And one of the moderators came into my thread, sticking in the comments saying, guys, why do you report Yiska for self-promotion every time he posts? He's got dozens of comments between every post. It's just people reporting my posts, dude. Love you, Reddit.
Don't change.
Love you.
Hashtag report Yiska every time you see one. Until he gives us the juice. If he doesn't give us the juice on a podcast, report all of his posts for the next week. Until the next one. That's how we get it. Don't do that. By the way, don't do that. Well, this was a fun one.
Hopefully as fun as
I
Melee.
can't say you walked away smarter. Learning something
yet.
new.
Not yet. Takes time. Takes time.
But you were hopefully entertained.
Were you not? I was.
In the words of the great Russell Crowe, are you not entertained? Are you not? It's a question. Are you not entertained?
You guys want just to round out the podcast German word of the day? That's
Sure.
kind of Twitch meta topical right now.
Okay.
And also kind of describes what kind of position teams find themselves in.
Better not have anything to do with a deer because I'm over it.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
You know.
It's called Zugzwang.
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 Zugzwang. Is it suk
And
I don't know
like
what
a
I'm
ka or a ta?
Zugzwang.
Zwang. Like with a G?
Yes, with a G.
Zugzwang.
Zugzwang. Okay.
And it's a term from chess.
Okay.
And it means you have to move. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah,
the-
yeah, yeah.
opponent makes a move, then you of course have to move, and potentially something that's bad for you. So that's Zugzwang. And this then relates to, metaphorically, to other things.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, Justice are under Zugzwang. They cannot just sit there and have like no GM, no second coach, like only 6 players on their roster. Okay, they picked up them on 40-day contracts. They got to make a decision now. So they're under Zugzwang. And of course, chess, highly topical right now on Twitch.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people watching chess.
Oh, yeah.
They don't
There's that one guy
understand
that I keep popping up. But
what's going on with it, but they're watching it.
yeah, the term sounds familiar. I think some like one of the analysts.
Oh,
in
Zugzwang.
LTK.
Why don't you just say it? Zugzwang.
Okay. That's,
Zugzwang. That's clearly how you say it. Zugzwang. Z makes a Z sound. Yiska.
Yeah.
Is bare hands available?
Zugzwang. Got it.
Okay.
Bing bang boom. Zugzwang.
It's kind of topping of a cliff here.
I know. All right, anybody, thank you for hanging out today. Hope you had a ton of fun for episode 103. No new patrons or 5-star iTunes reviews since Monday, 2 days ago. But if you like the show and want to support, 2 great ways to do it. Go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. And a big thank you to our Patreon producers, Battlecrab Pin, Lotion, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkchop Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Shar, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, and Refined Bean. Because I love our patron producers so much, I'm going to make Yiska read our patron producers as well in one breath. One breath.
Gotta pull him up first.
What? Okay, I gotta pull him up first, but also I don't think I can do it in one breath.
Try it.
In all actual fact, I think I have a mild fever, but whatever. Which I'm kind of scared of. But okay. Thank you for the support. Battlecrab, Pin, Lulshin, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkchop, Sammy, Kasha67, Kochi Kopi, Chare, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, and Refined Bean. Thank you.
Was that all in one?
That wasn't that bad.
I think so.
That's good.
I'd say so.
Not COVID.
That was good.
There you go.
Joe, I do
Self-check.
think we've got some new subs and stuff, though. So
Yes.
let's thank the subs in chat. Hurry up and sub if you want to be on the show.
Lisa, Brenda from the Los Angeles Gladiators came in before the show started, gifted 5 subs. So big thank you to her. Hoagies, Kasha67, and Brad RK, all with the subscriptions as well. So thank you guys so much. And if you can't sub because of COVID or this, that, the other thing, head over to iTunes, drop them reviews. We'll shout you out on the show for free.
For free. Yes, we will. Hopefully we're at 155 concurrent viewers right now, which I think means that we should be well over that 75 average.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can apply for partner and be approved. But yeah, no, reviews must be 5-star to be shouted out on the show. Make them funny, chat. Make them funny. Yeah. So big thank you to everybody who's come over the past few weeks to help boost us over the 75 concurrent viewer. And hopefully, I know a lot of people have been here well over the 75. Hopefully that you're not just here for that and you've actually been enjoying the show and listening and hanging out. And you will continue to do that, hopefully after we get partner. And if we don't get partner, oh man, I can't do this much more. I can't shill for it much more. Casson asked, what does the partner thing do? It gives us more emote slots. It gives us bit rate different
higher bit rate access.
It gives you encoding options. So if you're on a crappy internet connection, you can put it down to 360 or 160. Otherwise, it's based on if they have capacity basis. Fireclaw says, I'd love to give a positive review, but that chipmonk guy really grinds my gears. Fair enough.
He is the worst. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, different encoding. And it also gives us access to hopefully, if and when the world opens up again, we have TwitchCons and BlizzCons and stuff like that. It helps us be able to have access to certain things there of venues to do a live show. Imagine Joe, Yiska, and I have not been in the same room ever in real life. How cool would that be?
Live show?
I understand that you're both quite a bit taller.
2021.
Joe, you're Yiska, you're 6'4", right?
Yeah, he's taller than
No, I'm 6'2".
6'2". And then Joe, you're 6, right?
I'm 6'1".
I'm 5'9".
Not that big of a difference.
How did that happen?
Yeah, when every time somebody from the chat or people I've worked with on broadcast GG meet me on real life, they're like, I thought you were way shorter.
I kept telling my legs to Zugzwang, and they never actually.
The good news is you still got time to grow.
It's true. They say 30 is the new puberty.
Sure.
Anyways, chat, I hope you had a ton of fun. We're gonna be back after the music for a short pre-show to say thank you to you all. Hope you have a ton of fun. And we'll see you on Friday for Spike Drop. Come hang out with us for Spike Drop Friday at noon. It's going to be a great time. We'll be back right after this. See you next week.